I appreciate you taking the time to meet up with me and sharing your knowledge. I see that you are a Marine. Were you aviation in the Marine?
Yep, yep. 93 to 99, plane captain on Harriers.
And then now you are director of maintenance with AAG Appalachian, right?
Yeah, Appalachian Aero Group here in Hickory, North Carolina.
Nice, nice. Yeah, man. One of the biggest things that I'm trying to do is reach out to guys like yourself, like in the director of maintenance, where you can teach these guys. I know it's been a little bit, but still, I think those same that attitude, mindset, they can translate into civilian aviation and the path they can go on, so they can get positions like director of maintenance or how to succeed in aviation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was just talking to Gage just a moment ago, and we didn't get this information. We didn't know that we didn't get this exposure from people from the outside coming in and talking to us about aviation. Because I know I didn't for 14 years in the aviation, in the Air Force. I didn't get any exposure from anybody outside, and they didn't tell me about AMP. We didn't talk about Boeing, or we just heard about defense contractors, and that was it. And I want to change that and reach out to people on the outside and share their experience and how they get where they are right now, and talk about the aviation industry in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know what happened. There's a gap in there where we stopped, and I say we, i.e., the military, and I can only speak for my experience in the Marine Corps. But so uh, it's been my experience that so whenever I was in, it was talked about all the time. So
Yeah.
getting out, getting your AMP or getting your AMP even before you got out, and I got mine before I got out, continuing my career in aviation. And even for those who didn't want to continue their career in aviation, it was highly encouraged to at least get your AMP so you could have something to fall back on,
Hmm.
so a plan B if that wasn't, what you wanted to do, at least you would have your AMP and you could, utilize it if you needed to or wanted to. And then somewhere down the line, it seemed to me like it stopped being promoted and encouraged. I have a colleague here in Hickory that we have spoken in the past about trying to, it's no secret that the aviation community is struggling and has struggled for years. And there's a big gap between the age gap for mechanics and even pilots. And then, obviously the aviation industry has struggled through some significant events. I mean, so talent and experience pool is there's a pretty big gap with what's available and for knowledge base and stuff. So have always been interested in promoting it and helping out fellow veterans. So yeah, that's why I'm on the phone with you this morning. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you got out of the aviation or the Marines in '99. And so, how was it? You already had your AMP before you even got out, and so were there people from the outside coming in to recruit you before you
no,
got out?
no,
No.
absolutely not. So whenever I got out in '99, and I'm in corporate aviation, so even within our aviation community, there's another segment that nobody even talks about. So
Mm.
whenever I was in, the only thing that I knew was either go work for McDonnell Douglas or Boeing or Lockheed or somebody, making military aircraft and then going commercial. So
Hmm.
Delta, I knew about UPS and FedEx, as far as cargo industries. So back then, before the whole internet, we sent out resumes. So you had to look people up and send out resumes to get a call back. And so I had done that, and eventually, I even actually went to Louisville, Kentucky, to try to find somebody to talk to at UPS
Okay.
because I'm from Kentucky, and
Okay.
that was my plan, was to try to move back to Kentucky. But
Okay.
you there's another place up here in Greensboro that a huge employer for the state of North Carolina, and that was Timco. It's now called Hayco, but eventually did get a job offer from them, and at that time was I think they wanted to pay me like $10.25 an hour. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But but I was fortunate. Me and a buddy of mine we got out at the same time, and went and applied at Mountain Air Cargo, which was a FedEx feeder for
Mhm.
and got hired there, and that's what started my career. But
How much
even at
was that
that
then?
time, I still didn't know anything about corporate aviation. So private business jets and corporate jets, and just the private aviation world. So
So when you say, just for the guys, I know what it is, but for the guys who maybe not know what private, or corporation or corporate jets, briefly
yeah, so
talk about what it
there's a
is.
so outside of the commercial industry, there's a whole another community of aviation segment, if you will. I would venture to say there's probably three. So there's military, and then there's commercial, and then there's private or corporate aviation is like what we call it. Business aviation, corporate aviation is very successful business owners who utilize aircraft for business, and so they use them for pleasure as well, but a whole different world. So where like commercial aviation is part 125,
Hmm.
the private corporate aviation world is 91, and so
Right.
just general aviation flight rules. And then even and within that industry, there's a Part 135 industry that is for hire. So the limousine side of corporate aviation. And then as far as the maintenance world, there's a Part 145, which we are here at Appalachian Aero Group, versus just working as your and utilizing your A&P. So you're working for an organization that has a repair station certificate, and that's what actually goes on the paperwork versus having your name or your A&P number attached to it.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know how much you know about that. So
Yeah.
you know,
No, but this is good for the people who may not know, because, like I said, when I got out, or even when I was in, I had no clue about, other sectors, about
yeah, no,
BizAv, or didn't know about, UPS or FedEx. I didn't know any of that stuff.
yeah,
And
and yeah,
I didn't have no
neither did I.
contacts.
And so
Yeah.
just FYI, so you want to talk about so pay. So FedEx and UPS are going to be your highest paid employers as far
Yeah.
as aviation goes. So I think the last I heard, FedEx and UPS, and they're relatively the same, but I think paying they're starting out mechanics at like $53 an hour,
Yeah.
and then they top out at I want to say like 57 or $60 an hour, and you do that within 3 to 5 years.
Mm,
So uh,
that's pretty good.
yeah, so back whenever I got out of the Marine Corps though in '99, and to tell you about the disparity of mechanics and the shortage of mechanics and talent, whenever I got out of the Marine Corps in '99, you couldn't go to FedEx and get hired as an aircraft mechanic. So you had to work your way up through the ranks, and so that meant you had to throw boxes. So you had to be a delivery driver, or else. At the time, so I worked for Mountain Air Cargo. We were contracted by FedEx. So I worked in maintenance control and talked to the guys in Memphis, and those guys would moonlight for FedEx, and they were actually just throwing boxes. They were working for us and working on FedEx owned aircraft, but we maintained and supplied the pilots for them. But they would work for us, and then moonlight for FedEx, trying to buy their time, which was like 3 years. And so you had to
Hmm.
throw boxes for 3 years before you could even apply to work on their what we call wide bodies. So
Yeah.
there's 737s and 757s and you know I don't know what all they're using now, but every model, platform, aircraft that there is, Airbus and Boeing.
Yeah.
But um, yeah,
So
so
what's it
but
like now?
well, things have changed now. So
Yeah.
so now I think because there's enough, so they've changed their hiring, and now they will hire guys who have worked on what they consider heavy jets. And so for Mountain Air Cargo, they operate ATR 42s and 72s, and that kind of meets the requirements. So guys could work for Mountain Air Cargo and have experience on the ATR 42s and 72s, and then and that would meet the requirements for a heavy jet and
Okay.
or a heavy aircraft, and then be able to transition over to FedEx. Um, but I have a buddy of mine who never even worked on the airplanes and went over as a supervisor.
Yeah.
So
Oh
he worked
wow.
for Mountain Air Cargo, was in maintenance control, and not even that long, and then applied for a supervisor position with UPS, and then so he works 410, so he works like Friday through Monday.
Mm.
And so there's all kinds of different shifts with FedEx or UPS. I know FedEx probably does the same thing as well. So, but
Okay.
uh, I just know about those things. And but Yeah, I'm in the corporate aviation world, and I love it. So it's the
Yeah.
what I would consider the cleaner and more professional side of aviation.
Right.
So it's quite a bit more polished. So there's the expectations in corporate aviation are different than those, say, in commercial aviation. So it's a little
So
rougher crowd. There's more things. It's a rougher crowd. I enjoy the environment, but so corporate aviation is more polished and more professional. So.
okay. And how was this company your gig into corporate aviation, or how did you get
Oh no.
into corporate aviation?
No, so well, and so like I said, whenever I got out in '99, so I didn't even know anything about corporate aviation. So I got out in '99. I worked a Raytheon aerospace contract there at Cherry Point. Worked in the same shop, same squadron that I had just exited from,
Yeah.
and that was cool. But at the time, so I wasn't using my A&P, and so I felt like I wasn't getting myself down the road, and eventually ended up working for Mountain Air Cargo, and so I started there working heavy maintenance there in Kinston, North Carolina, on an aircraft called a Fokker F-27.
Mm.
So twin engine uh, prop aircraft, and no longer even being utilized. But so started out there doing heavy maintenance for a 145. I did line maintenance, so I would go out and cover for guys that were going on vacation and do line maintenance, and for a week at a time, and then eventually moved to maintenance control. In maintenance control, I was given the opportunity to experience so we operated 121, Part 121 with the cargo aircraft, and then we also operated a 135, Part 135, with the smaller Caravan Cessna 208 Bravos, um, and they just operate differently. But
Yeah.
got to do that. A lot of experience there, and then eventually I um, got fired because I made a bad decision. And that put me to start looking for a job. And I got a job as a contractor for a company called Landmark, which is now Signature Aviation. Um,
Okay.
and so that was my first time exposure to corporate aviation. And
Mm-hmm.
so there I started working on twin engine turbo prop King Airs. Um, I worked, so I thought it was really cool, but at the time, I worked on change the boost pump, a fuel boost pump for Richard Petty's private aircraft.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just something I thought was cool about that I had never
Yeah.
experienced before. And then so we were working on Piaggios. So these were fractional ownership aircraft. So, but yeah, that was my introduction to corporate aviation. And so then I got hired direct and just started working my way up. So worked Beach Jets, worked Hawkers, worked King Airs, some Citation products, Citation jets, and just through the course of networking, being a go getter, whatever you need done, I volunteer to do it. Cross paths with another company called Strategic Moves. I was just taking some pilots home, and they were looking for a mechanic, and
Mm-hmm.
their business was growing, and just that was by happenstance, and just through the course of doing a good deed, it was dropping, actually going out of my way to take some pilots to Concord on my way home, and
Yeah.
so through the course of that, I applied for that job and was hired. And that introduced me to the Part 135 world, and and aircraft management, and then eventually left there to go work for another management company. Left there to go work for a bank um, in Wilmington, North Carolina, and so that had their own flight department, and so a lot of people
Okay.
don't understand that. Like I would tell people I work for a bank, and they're like, "Oh yeah, what do you do? What do you do at the bank?" And I was like, "I work on their aircraft." And they're like, "What? Bank has airplanes?" Like, yeah,
Yeah.
every single bank that you know of that is well to do have probably flight departments, have their own flight departments.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their own mechanics, they have their own pilots, they have their own. They're essentially a standalone, do everything, a squadron, if you will, for their owners who own at least one and lots of times multiple aircraft.
Yeah.
So and it's the epitome of aviation. So it's like the pinnacle. So these private businesses, J.C. Penney, and all these companies that you don't think about and that you're not exposed to because uh, the the community is so small.
Yeah.
um, that, and a lot of times, so the only way people get hired is by word of mouth. So they don't
Yeah.
advertise a lot of times, and it's they don't advertise because they don't have to.
Right.
Um, because guys that work there know other guys, and so whenever it comes time to whenever they want to add somebody to the team or somebody ends up leaving for whatever reason, they just reach out to one of their colleagues and be like, hey, I know a guy, he's a
Mm-hmm.
good buddy of mine, and so he'd be a good fit for here. And so
Yeah.
uh, that's what ends up happening. And
Oh yeah. It's a good it's a good commercial for BizAv. It's just it's important. The networking part is super important because I think like I went to an NBAA event and the DOM from Netflix was there.
from Netflix.
Yeah, from
Yeah.
Netflix. They have their own little fleet of aircraft.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
absolutely.
what? They have a whole little flight department. So it was pretty interesting. And Walmart. I've met the guy. I met a mechanic from Walmart, and I saw there that they were hiring from Walmart from Bentonville
Yep.
because
So I actually saw through LinkedIn that they were hiring. That's been recently. They were
yeah,
looking for a mechanic, but Coca-Cola, Walmart, uh, Amazon. Well, Amazon's another one, so I don't even know anything about Amazon. But
yeah,
they're essentially a FedEx, UPS, operation. Um,
yeah.
and now you have SpaceX, and so you
Hmm.
have there's and the drone community is up and coming, and eventually, I don't know where it's going to lead to, but the drones are getting bigger, and so now we're talking about air taxis, and so all that's going to be a whole new industry that's going to need the support of mechanics, and because they're going to be regulated and require maintenance. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like, but it's a upcoming and growing industry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
for sure.
just the legacy turbine engines and props that's going to be driving the world. So
Right.
now we're
Or the
looking at
helicopters and stuff. Yeah.
yep. Now we're looking at EV drones, and you know it's crazy.
Single seaters. Yeah. Single seater little drones.
Yeah, delivering packages even. So I mean
Hmm.
that'll require those drones for safety reasons to be maintained, and so somebody's going to have to look at them, periodically
Right.
to
Right.
make sure that they're safe.
Yeah, I agree. And so wanted to switch a little bit over to because when I talk to guys, a lot of guys thinking that and it's possible too. I'm not saying it's not, but I see it a little too common where a guy who leaves the military and can jump right into a manager role. And I hear it quite often. And is it possible? Yes. Depending on the size and how desperate these guys are in need, and of course the experience of the individual, of this candidate. But for what you've seen so far, what what would be a path for a guy who like what would you advise him? Hey, if you want to be a director of maintenance, like this is the things you need to do. And like what would it be those activities?
Well, so I mean, just like any management position, I mean, it requires you to know your operation, right? And so,
Hmm.
and every operation is going to be I mean, so a 145 is a 145, but in order to run that operation, um, you need to be knowledgeable about how things go and how things operate. And so, um, but I have seen and I actually know of some guys with a considerable amount of military experience. So, say 15 years
Hmm.
transition out of the military to some of these bigger uh, maintenance, repair, and overhaul facilities. So larger 145 operations like West Star,
Hmm.
Signature, um, uh, and uh, Textron service centers, and move into a management role like a project manager. And
Hmm.
so where you're just managing a project. Can you be successful in that? Absolutely. So depending on the individual, but more realistically, I feel like your pathway to um, management supervisor is working your way up. Um, the traditional, more conventional way, and you know, starting out as a mechanic, learning the airframe, and then just utilizing your leadership skills that you've been taught in the military. So the aviation community, the civilian side is successful, and it's made up majority of veterans. And I think the reason why it's so successful, and that we operate safely, is because of the structure that aviation is operated, whether it's the military or the civilian world. So it looks very much the same.
Yeah.
And so, um, but yeah, the more conventional, the more realistic approach would be to uh, you get your A&P, um, utilize it, learn airframe. Now, I will say, I think the process is much quicker. So I got out in '99. I was 26, um, and I didn't get my first DOM role. This is my first DOM role, and I've been in this role for um, a little over a year. So I just
Yeah.
turned 50.
Yeah.
Now, um, I've got a good buddy of mine out in Texas. He's a DOM. He was a DOM for a small business. So can it be done? Absolutely. Um, you have to be willing to move. You have to be, right place at the right time. But I mean, there's success stories out there, where guys, didn't spend a lot of time working on an airplane, and and if you're one of those guys who or girls that just is super talented and leadership ability, I think being at the right place at the right time and someone sees that, you're going to absolutely be successful and be the exception to the rule. But for a lot of us, the pathway is being a mechanic, learning the business, learning your FARs, your federal aviation regulations, and just earning the respect of your colleagues, networking, and just being prepared and preparing yourself for those opportunities that come along to be in supervisor and management roles. So um, uh, so I talk to elementary school kids every year, uh, just to expose them to aviation.
Yeah.
So like I tell them, whenever I was growing up, nobody came to my school and talked to me about aviation. Nobody ever told me about aviation. Um,
Yeah. Same.
it just um, given this opportunity to try to promote our industry, and knowing that we need to do that, I wanted to be a part of this. So, uh,
Mm.
but I would love to see the military promote it more. And I think the Army maybe does a better job. I don't know. I don't know what they do or what they don't do, but
Yeah.
it seems to me, that it's not promoted like it used to be.
Yeah. I
And,
actually, you think talking about that, I actually receive a lot more. I have more conversations with the Army, especially their education center. I mean, I did have one good conversation with the Nellis Air Force Base, and they have a great program going on. They're building something out there for those guys. There's test centers, that have helped kind of guide them through how to get that certified, get their test center going and connections, and so they can have a yeah, they're doing a lot of great things over there. The people out there at the Nellis Air Force Base Education Center is super awesome. And I know that Fort Wainwright out in Alaska, the lady up there, she was doing great. And they're starting to do something out in, what's the one in El Paso? Fort, I I forgot what was that base out there. But those guys out there, Fort Bliss, they're doing great things out there with doing outreach and see what they can do to kind of get guys get their AMP. So with that, the guys who you're probably seeing a lot of military guys, getting out, and uh, my question is, what are some good things that a military guy or gal should, when they're getting out, is you kind of want to see them maintain like a certain mindset or attitude that translates and helps, that maybe that's an advantage, maybe they don't realize it when they transition.
Um, can do attitudes and work ethic.
Yeah.
So, and another reason why, so veterans, military personnel are highly sought after is because, and so speaking from the Marine Corps, doing more with less. And so being resourceful, not taking no for an answer. So aviation, no matter what sector it is, whether it's private aviation or commercial aviation, so it's operating on a timeline. And, um, yes, we want to do it safely. That's first and foremost. But second is we want to do it, period, and we want to do it on time. So, as well as I do when you get on board an airplane, you're expecting for it to leave point A and go to point B on time. In the
Yeah.
cargo industry, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, you're expecting a package today.
Yeah.
And then in the private aviation world, you have successful business people, and even for pleasure, the expectation is to leave on time and to arrive on time. So,
Hmm.
so to have that attitude that you're going to do whatever it takes to get the job done is first, is a highly sought after characteristic
Yeah.
or trait.
Yeah.
Um, but and I'll tell you, so we're currently looking to hire one or two people. We're growing extremely quickly. Um, and but I'll tell you, just like I tell everybody else, first and foremost, you have to be a good fit for the team. You have to be a good fit for the culture here. I could care less how much you know
Yeah.
because I could train you. We can train you.
Yeah.
But your attitude is everything. And so we're a small business here, so it has a very family feel. And so for me, is to hire somebody who's going to mesh well and be a good fit for the team. And that's first and foremost. So it's like whenever you get somebody who's not a good fit, who always complains, doesn't show up to work on time, doesn't want to pull their weight. Um, those types of things, you have to weed them out, and you have to remove it like a cancer, because if not, it
Yeah.
affects the entire team. And so I tell people here, we're doing A team stuff. So
Yeah.
we're not here, and the standard is way up here, and that's I'm not bringing the standard down to nobody. I'm bringing you to the standard, however long it takes or whatever resources I got to do in order to get you there. But the standard is the standard, and and then you just have to be, at the end of the day, we have a business to run, we have a
Of
job to
course.
do, but every single one of us are passionate about our job. We enjoy it, and we've committed our lives to it. Our families depend on it, and it's fun. And so, first and foremost, I want to have fun. Well, first and foremost is to operate the business successfully. But a close second is we can have fun doing it. We all
Right.
enjoy this, so let's go out here and put in an honest day's work and have fun. doing the job that we love to do, helping each other out, and supporting each other, and and live out our life and support our families. But uh, yeah, first and foremost, attitude, work ethic, um, you know, and quite honestly, anymore, it's really not that hard to stand out amongst your peers.
Yeah.
It's not like it was whenever I got out of the Marine Corps, So I know people talk about it all the time, but I'm telling you, I see it. Uh, Attitudes, work ethic are not the same as they were whenever I got out of the Marine Corps. And so whenever I got out of the Marine Corps, and it came time to 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 go somewhere like on a road trip or do something above and beyond what my duties and responsibilities were, I volunteered for it. You
Yeah.
want to separate yourself from your peers? Don't just do your duties and responsibilities. Don't just do the bare minimum. Stand out.
Yeah.
You know, go above and beyond. And quite honestly, that's how you get into leadership, management, and eventually the director of maintenance role,
And real
leading
quick, do
teams.
you? Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
what does that look like? Like what name a couple like two activities that helped you get into that role that was above and beyond.
So volunteering for jobs that so on a Friday when an airplane's got so it's supposed to RTS, so a return to service,
Uh-huh.
on a Friday afternoon when everybody else is wanting to go home and be with their family, volunteer to stay late to get the
Hmm.
airplane out for a customer, for the company. Um, an airplane's broke, so it may require you to stay overnight in a hotel somewhere, volunteering to do that. Um, Within your company, um, something as simple as just cleaning up after yourself.
It's crazy, huh? That's
Yeah.
crazy. And how much that
So,
makes a difference.
or cleaning up after somebody else.
Hmm.
So they finished up a job. It's a big job, or it's been an all day job, and the guys are out running the airplane, doing post engine run checks, and have the time. You go and clean up behind them so that
Yeah.
they don't have to.
Right.
That's what earns the respect of your peers. That's what puts you in management and supervisory roles. And the reason why you're successful is because you have the respect of your peers. They're like, man, this guy, he cares about me.
Hmm.
And so, um, you know, definitely, you don't, so you can get there on the backs of your colleagues, but um, good luck.
Yeah, it would be hard.
Good luck when you get there. So, um, so it's just like, lead by example.
Yeah, true.
It seems very cliche, and but two things that I learned from the Marine Corps, that I had great success with, and I never, so as a sergeant and supervisor of a shop and running, in charge of 20 something aircraft and 10 Marines, I never ever ever had to flex and say you will do this. All I had to do was just ask for it to be done,
Yeah.
and the guys went out and did it. And because two things, I led by example, and I never asked anybody to do anything that I would not do or had not done myself.
Right.
So
It's crazy. It's just, that it sucks that it's cliche, but it's one of those advices that like it just works over time. It's timeless advice, and sometimes I feel like you like we hear it, but what does that look like, right? Because
Yeah.
we might feel we might feel that we are going above and beyond, because in their head they think they are, and
Well, and
but hearing
so
it from somebody that's a DOM, and because it takes a while to get there, like you said. It's like, what are those examples? And you're giving that great example of what it actually looks like.
so another thing too is we as managers and supervisors uh, need to be honest and candid with our uh, subordinates.
Mm-hmm.
And so recently, I took on the idea and that I was not going to just tell everybody that they're above average.
Yeah.
And so being realistic about the expectations. So, myself and my general manager I spoke with him about this. And so in the past, I felt like, during our yearly evaluation of employees, that we kind of, we were like, yeah, you're above average. You're doing, you're great. And quite honestly, they're just not to say, and I'm not disappointed, but you're meeting expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Your attendance, you're here when you're supposed to be. So the only way that you go above and beyond is if you're here when you're not supposed to be. So you stay late, you come in early, or you're here on the weekend. So
Yeah.
that's the only way to achieve that, right?
Right.
You know, if you hear Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, like you're supposed to be, then you meet expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You're not above average. That's average. That's what's supposed to be done. And I'm not mad about it, but you're not above and beyond.
Right.
Um, and so there's multiple line items that we look at, but just being so we talk about the generation, but we as managers and supervisors are the reason why people are the way they are,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't expect more, we didn't demand more,
Right.
and we just kept telling them like, oh yeah, you're doing good.
Yeah.
I
And
know
I
you call
also telling them, hey, you can improve here.
right. And you didn't tell them where they could improve. You couldn't tell them where they could stand out from their peers.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, you just do this,
Right.
and you'll
Or
be just like everybody else. So look around and see what everybody else is doing, and know that you got to do more than that.
right.
You do. Otherwise, you're just part of a pool that somebody's going to pick from, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to decide. But if you're standing out from your peers, that's how you get into the roles that you want to be in. That's how you get to where you want to go, and not just by
Yeah.
happenstance. You know, so
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And yeah,
but
the
you got
communication, like you're saying, is super important. And teaching, or at least advising them on, hey, this is how you can stand out.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah, no,
I was gonna go to my other question is, you hire people you see, when they maybe even kids from schools and stuff like that, and they get their AMP, they master the AMP with their skills. Maybe somebody that's coming out of the military, what can they? What's another skill can they learn while they're still in that would help them translate into, let's say, biz app,
reading wire and schematics.
reading wire schematics? Okay.
Yeah, you want to an easy way is to be able to troubleshoot, and
Okay.
so know why a component is doing what it's doing. Know what makes. Um, so from a pilot perspective, they see an annunciator, right, that tells them they have a problem.
Right.
Well, so the wiring schematic is going to tell you what makes that light come on.
Right.
And that is a, yeah. So you want to, um, avionics, reading wire schematics, troubleshooting, those are highly coveted, highly sought after skills in employees.
Okay.
Anybody
And
can
you
go
know
out
what?
here.
This is a very a
So
common, yeah,
anybody can go out here and turn a wrench and remove a component
exactly.
and put a component back in, hook some lines up, plug up a cannon plug, um, but um, yeah, you wanna be somebody, be that troubleshooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, be able to um, efficiently and on a high percentage be able to go out to an airplane that has a problem and troubleshoot it down to a smoking gun
Yeah. Yeah.
the first time.
Yeah, even in the military, that is because, like you said, anybody can, remove and replace a part.
Yeah,
You can just read the directions and from a fifth grade TO and say, okay, this is how you do it,
right.
and of course do it safely. But however, when you're on a say pilots are going out, they're supposed to be leaving 10 minutes ago, and he has a what we call a red ball. I was like, hey, why is this light on? To figure it out right there on the spot, not to minimize downtime, that's that's a skill.
Yeah. Why did the APU not fire off?
Oh, yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah. So to go and read the description operation, know what components are involved in that system. So ECU, igniters, fuel, and a starter.
Yeah,
So what component is not doing what it's supposed to?
yeah,
And as far as the ECU goes, so being able to hook up a laptop and download the fault logs.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a
It's something like that. It's funny because people bring this up quite often. Is the start, the APU and that was the first. I remember this. That was one of the systems. The first things my supervisor, and he was super knowledgeable. That was one of the first things he told me I need to learn is learn the theory operation of the starting system, the APU. And if this happens, if the bottles go off and the doors don't open, you know it's between the bottles and the doors. But the doors go off, then you know it's after the doors because it got its air, it blew off, then it blew the doors open, then you know that it's after it. So now you can almost in a section know what section of the system went off and didn't go off. And knowing that like right away, you can check the gauges, you check the pressure, and the doors go off. Obviously, you can visually see it. And then you can go jump into the troubleshooting tree and say, know exactly what happened, what didn't happen. So you
yeah.
can start from there, not from the very beginning, and then you just go straight into that section. So
Yep.
it's a skill.
So yeah, troubleshooting. So if you're a good troubleshooter, you are extremely valuable. You're extremely sought after.
Yeah, I
If you,
agree.
yeah, absolutely. So not everybody can do it, and the better off that you are at it. So um, so um, yeah, those are highly coveted, highly sought after individuals with
Oh
those
yeah, yeah,
skills.
I agree. I agree. Because that was one of the things that if you love to solve problems, you're gonna be a good troubleshooter. If you love to solve problems.
Yeah. But you know what though? And it wasn't, so it wasn't taught.
Hmm.
I wasn't taught it. Maybe I wasn't in long enough. I was only in 6 years. Maybe, maybe I didn't. Um, I don't know. Maybe it was me, but I don't remember the. So they told us to read books and stuff, right? But they didn't tell us why to read the books. So what information are we trying to glean from reading the manuals?
Hmm.
So you're like, oh, well, you just need to read the triple nuts, or you need to read the 100 or the 300 manual, and and all this. I mean, shoot, they probably don't even read. Everything's probably online. I mean, they probably don't have books anymore. That's what we had. We had books.
Tablets. Yeah.
Um, but um, but yeah, so just learning description and operation for different systems, so hydraulic
Yeah.
systems and starting systems, and so landing gear systems. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I started after that. Once I started fixing stuff, like I was super young, 1 or 2 years in, you figure something out super quick. One, you got the respect of your peers because like, oh,
right,
you who taught you that? Oh, Beeman taught me that. It's like, right on. And then on top of that, yeah, it does set you up for awards because the two biggest things, the awards that I would get is helping them out with troubleshooting and volunteering for extra. I was like, hey, I'll stay behind. You guys go home. I got it.
right.
And those, like, every time I got an awards, it's always doing that extra and above and beyond.
Oh yeah,
And troubleshooting and doing something extra was
yeah,
always the things that, oh, you got airman of the quarter because of X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I highly agree on the advice that you give.
yeah.
And
So I mean, and that the civilian sector is no different.
oh yeah, yeah, I can see where
The
the
difference
advice that you
is
give.
that we don't. So we're uh, more political and diplomatic in how we express it.
Hmm.
So I don't just come out
Oh
and be
yeah.
like, "Hey, Brandon, why aren't you more like Dusty?" You know,
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas in the military, that was my job. Like, hey, Lance Corporal so and so, why aren't you trying to do this? Or without that repercussion of like, oh, you're singling me out, or why are you picking on me?
Yeah.
But um, I I'm blessed to have the opportunity to lead the team that I'm leading and have the leadership above me that I have, because uh, we are. I'm still. I I'm in this position. I'm like a dad. So these are my kids out here. I love them very much. I care about their success, um, um, and I want them to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. And
Hmm.
so, however I can help facilitate that, so I want to do that. It's not so, and not everywhere you go is like that. And so, you don't have people that care about you. But like I said, we're a small business. We're like family here. Care very much about the guys and girls, and because the owners and the leadership that I have above me, they encourage that, and they allow me to facilitate that here. So extremely blessed. But this is not the norm.
Yeah.
I know it's not the norm because I've
Yeah.
worked a lot of different places, and so, but yeah, but
That's
it's
awesome,
one
man.
of the reasons why we're successful and we're doing the things that we're doing is because so first, like I told you before, first and foremost, I care about the team, and so uh, I wouldn't add just, I'm not adding just anybody to our team. So
Right. No, yeah, that's
you,
it's important.
you could, you could be the best troubleshooter in the world. If you got a crappy attitude, you're not going to work here.
Yeah.
Period. I don't care. I don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, when it affects something like that, yeah, it goes deeper than just troubleshooting. Because, yeah, like you said, you can teach that. You can teach that skill of like, you can, hey, learn this. I'll train you. I'll take you to school for you to learn these systems. And then, they can be pretty good with a great attitude. So it's
yep.
like, yeah, it'd be a lot better investment to teach somebody who has a great attitude and mindset and teach them the skills.
Team mentality,
Yeah,
not individuals. So
exactly. Exactly. Hey, sir, it was great talking to you.
yeah,
I do gotta jump off, and I learned a lot. It's super awesome to hear it from you. I would love to continue to talk to you offline and see
yeah,
if there's
absolutely.
anything I can do to help you out.
So where are you located at?
I'm currently in Fort Worth, Texas,
Okay.
and uh, for the last 6 years, I've been helping guys trying to get their AMP, get them prepped, get their certification, like from the authorization all the way to getting their AMP in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly the audience that I've been working with are military, and now I'm helping them. Like the whole mission was to help them get a great job on the outside. As I
Right.
do this more, there's a lot of great maintenance teams, a lot of great opportunities out there, not just the commercial side of things, like we've
Right.
been told, when we're in, like you just mentioned. I know that I talk to more guys who get their AMPs and then go on the outside. I was like, oh yeah, I work for this company out in North Carolina. And it's funny because you bring that up. One of my first students went to go be a DOM at a FBO somewhere in North Carolina. I can catch up to him later, but he's like, man, I love it, and he enjoyed it. So the more I get to know people who get their AMP and go out, they're enjoying biz app stuff that I never knew about before.
Right.
So when I contact them, I just want what I want to do is better prepare these guys before they even get out, and that's why I'm doing this little podcast so that way uh, these guys can get the advice they need, set the right expectations, and get prepared. Get all the tools you need before you get out because that's the
Right.
best time to get all the stuff paid for, develop the skills, and and network. So they can reach
Yeah.
out to you, and I can add that in there where, hey, reach out to um, the Mister here to Ray to if you want to work out in Kentucky or North Carolina, and and work. He's like, hey, I like his mindset. I like his leadership. Let me
Mm-hmm.
go work for that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So we partner. We build relationships with AIM, so the Aviation Institute Maintenance colleges, and just anywhere within our local community, within the state, and our joining states to try to build relationships to help people be successful. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ray,
yeah,
and
absolutely, Jose.
definitely will catch up with you offline and see how we can help each other. If not, I still love to pick your brain and continue to help these veterans or these transition service members out.
Yeah, absolutely. If anything, anything I can do, any advice or any resource that I could help and provide, I'd be more than happy to.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll catch up with you soon, sir.
All right, man. Thanks.
Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.